Okay, so why don't we go ahead and get into drawing ears. Now ears, I have a kind of a pet peeve against a lot of people that do character designs because so many times they disregard the ears. Ears are just as important on the face, I think, as a lot of the other features on our face. They're a complex looking organ on the side of your face, and so a lot of them just kind of disregard it because it's interesting. It's funny because, you know, we all have ears, but so few people really sit down and look at them and realize how to draw them and get them to look right. And the ears can kind of serve several different purposes, not just with expression, but also they're very good at indicating the angle of the head. And I'm going to show you some of that in just a little bit here. But why don't we just go ahead and go ahead and dive in. So I've gone ahead and once again prepared a little character here, a little head, and lo and behold, he's missing his ears. So I'm just going to go ahead and knock that back so we can draw over the top. And so I wanted to draw on the head like this just so I can indicate to you guys where the ears fall. And they generally will fall right along. If you look at the eye line coming back and the bottom of the nose coming back, they generally fall a little bit above and a little bit below. Once again, just like I've repeated over and over with the other features on the face, ears come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. There's a couple of things that you'll always see in each ear, but those things that I'm going to point out change from ear to ear. So first of all, if you remember when I was talking about the skull a while back and talking about the bones and how the cheekbones, and if you feel right here, if you feel the back of that cheekbone and run your hand down, and you can feel your jawline right there, okay? So there's your jaw, and it comes right up into the back of that cheekbone. Well, obviously that's where your ear is. So that's going to be your anchor point for your ears. So that's going to come down, and like I said, it can come up a little bit above the eye line, and we can come down a little below, but it's basically between the eye line and the nose line. You can, you know, as long as you stay within that area. And then we're going to come down, and you've got this shape that comes down and around. Okay? Now, earlobes are all different sizes and shapes, and here we've got this. Okay? Now, if you feel the top of your ear, and you can see, obviously, it curls over the top, right? So I'm going to get this to come in here, but then we have this piece that comes in like so. Now, this is one of the things that I was saying that you'll see from ear to ear. From person to person, not from ear to ear. Sounds like I'm talking about a smile. But as this line comes in, it'll come in and hook in like this. And so you get this kind of feel coming around. So it creates this kind of hook look upside down. If you look at a hook upside down, it looks like that, okay? The other thing, and this is something I started picking up when I was in college doing a lot of figure drawing, and it helped me remember. This, to me, this is kind of one of the most important parts of the ear, is you'll always see it looks like a Y shape right in here. I'm going to bring this down, and so it looks like this, like a Y inside the ear. And if you go around and look at other people's ears, you'll start to see it. This, you know, it's that kind of thing. All right. And this comes down, and then you've got usually a kind of a bump here, and definitely a bump here. This is called, right here, that's called your anterior notch. So this goes right into the ear canal in here. So that's always going to be dark. All right. So we've got that kind of roughed in. I'm going to knock that back a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit better drawing over the top. So once again, in review, this comes down and around. That's the top part of the ear that folds over. And once again, these ears, they come in all shapes and sizes. But you're going to have this earlobe. Here, this comes down, like I said, and kind of creates this hook that comes around. There's a bit of a gap there. And this comes down and this kind of smooths out into the rest of the earlobe. And then you've got this depression. This is, you know, I'm drawing it like a Y, but it's more of a depression that goes like this. Like that. If I were to draw a line across the ear in there, but just think of this Y. And it comes down and around and creates this bump here, and you can feel it. You know, if you feel in here, you can feel what's happening there. Like so, all right? Now, lighting will really help define what's going on in here. So if I'm gonna create a little layer on top. We're just gonna go along. And imagine the light coming down from this direction, okay? So we're gonna have this part of the ear, the flap, this top flap, will cast a shadow inside the ear here, like so. And then this part of the Y, it casts a shadow right in here. I'm gonna go a little darker with this. It'll cast a shadow right in there. And then this goes into shadow, and then of course we go deep, deep into shadow inside the ear canal. And then we'll get a little shadow under the earlobe, and then the ear itself will cast a shadow on the face, or on the side of on the neck, right into the jawline. So you can see that shadow like so. And we can go even harsher with it and get in here. Now the ear tends to get a little oily, a little waxy sometimes. And so because, excuse me, because of that, you'll get some strong shine. And so with that, with the light source that we just created, quite often you'll get a harsh, not harsh, but you'll get a strong reflected light here. And then right along here. This will pick up light. You'll get nice light along the top of the ear. Considering our light source coming in from that direction, this is going to catch light. All of that will catch light, like so. You're going to catch some light along the top there, and then you might even catch a little bit of light down on that earlobe. Okay? So there's an ear right there. Once again, let's come over here. Let's come over here to draw the ear. I'm going to draw it from from the opposite ear now. So remember, you kind of have this hook that comes around like so. The ear comes down. We got the bump right there. That's going to come up in here. Remember, we've got the Y. That just feeds right into here. That comes down and just kind of fades out along there. And here I've done an ear that is fairly shallow as far as how much that top part of the ear hooks over, flips over. So I'm going to increase that a little bit because I just want it to be a little bigger, and I can give them a bigger earlobe if I want. Okay, so I've done the Y, which is right there. Here's that hook. It comes down and around. Remember, you got this bump in here. This goes into the ear canal. Okay, like so. And a lot of times this will go into shadow because this is hooked over so much. It's rare that you get a lot of light up in there. And this will go into shadow here. and like so. Okay, so that's the other ear real quickly, like so. And this will pick up, this will go dark, and there like that, okay? Now, what if we're drawing, this is all fine and dandy when you're looking at an ear from the side, but sometimes people get confused. What if you're drawing an ear from, if you're looking at me and we're looking, this direction, you want to see the ear. Sometimes people get confused. Well, you got to think about the ears. What are they? They're kind of wrinkly and they're kind of complex, but they're basically just a scoop. They're bowls to catch sound, right? So think of them in that sense. So if you're, let's say let me throw this back a little bit. So let's say we're looking at the ear from behind and off 3/4 a little bit. So if I draw the head right here, and there's a neck, the back of the neck coming down. And you want to draw this ear coming out here. Well, here it's going to connect. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Here it's going to connect. And think of this, it's almost like a bowl. Like you've got this bowl sitting on the side of the head, okay? That's a little exaggerated, but I'm going to get rid of that line there. So this ear is going to come around. This part coming around here is this right here, okay? So that just comes right in. That's where you might see a little piece of that Y that I was talking about coming down. And then this is going to come right down, right into your earlobe. So you almost get this, it's very exaggerated, but you get that kind of feel. Right there. And I actually drew a very large ear. So why don't we take that? As I got into this, I wasn't really paying attention to the proportions. So why don't we just shrink that up? We can pull that up, and that would be more of the accurate size for that size head. So that's what the ear might look like from behind. Okay? Let's do it not quite as far behind. So you're catching a little bit more on the inside. And this would come down. And this time you'd see a little bit more of the earlobe, the outside of the earlobe. And this would come down. There it comes in there, like so. And you'd actually catch a little bit of that ear canal right in there. You could even get, let me blow this up a little bit more. Just like so. With that bump being right in there, earlobe coming down. And once again, remember I was talking about this going into shadow? You'd see up into the shadow there. That's kind of that Y turned sideways. Like so. Okay? So here you can kind of see the ear kind of turning. Okay? Now let's do another thing. I'm going to take this. Okay, I'm going to take and move those off to the side because I want to show you what I was talking about earlier about the ear kind of being an indication. It helps indicate where the head is up and down. Okay, so let's say I want to draw the head. I'm going to do this very quickly. Let's say we're looking kind of down this way, but the eye line is way down. You got the nose coming out like so. Cheekbones down and around. So we're looking down like so. Well, that's where the ears would end up there. And it's a very strong indicator of where that head angle is. You get those ears up above that eye line. It sounds obvious, but a lot of people will forget. They'll put the ears down here and it flattens everything out. You want to get those ears way up high, okay? Like so. The same goes if the character, let's move him over. Let's move him up here. The same goes if you're drawing a character that's looking up. So if you got a guy like so, we've got the nose coming down like this. So that, there we go. So that the head comes back. Okay. Here you might have the eyes coming like this. Get those ears way down. You want to get them way down, like so. Okay. That really helps with getting the viewer to understand the orientation of the head. So what if we're looking a little more straight on? And this will be a little bit better example. So if we're looking straight on, here's the chin, here's the nose, okay? That head's coming back, the jawline comes here, it feeds into the neck. This character's looking up. All I've indicated is a nose and a chin here. Well, if we come in and all of a sudden we indicate these ears where they should be, which is back, and we're kind of looking up at them and coming out, now it's a real strong indicator of the orientation of that head, okay? I know it sounds very obvious, but you'd be surprised at how many people really forget this, disregard it, and can't understand why their drawing is flattening out. The ears are a huge indicator of getting orientation on a character, okay? So remember where that orientation is. The ears line up basically with the eye over here, look over here, with the eye and the nose. And so as the head moves up and down, if you look at my ears here, they're kind of in line with my nose and my eyes and my nose. And as I look up, you can see, if I take this off, if I look down, you can see my ears will come up above my eye line and drop below my eye line, okay? Once again, I know that's obvious, but when you can think about that, you're thinking about your character in space, okay? And these are the things that we want to remember when we're drawing our characters, because we want them to feel real. We want them to feel like they're sitting in a world that we're creating. And so these are little tricks that I've picked up along the way that are very simple but are very powerful. Okay, so once again, let's just review real quick. So ears. The ear comes up. Think of it as kind of this hook that comes around. We're going to go into the earlobe, like so. I always think of it like that. You got this part that comes in like so. You've got the Y shape that comes in and kind of fades off into the earlobe. Remember that? This part of the Y comes down, creates a little bump there, and we get the bump there. And we've got this part that comes in, go into the ear canal. Okay, so there's that ear. Now the reason I want you to understand real ears, because I mean, so often you'll see a cartoon ear and someone just goes boom, boom, and that's a cartoon ear. If you understand what you're drawing, then you can go ahead and simplify it, but then you're going to be able to start turning it in space and you're going to understand what's going on in there. So I think it's very important actually to know the proper anatomy before you start abstracting that anatomy. Because I've done plenty of characters where I've gone in and I've simplified the ear. But knowing what happens in a real ear helps me when it comes time to move that character around. So let's say I've got a simplified ear. Well, I might come in here like this, but I might do that. All of a sudden, I've got something that's a little bit more real, and it feels like it could sit in a real character, something like that. Maybe that's too much. Even maybe I still just do this, but at least I'll understand I can move that around. It's not just, they're not just two lines on a page, okay? And then once again, if you want to hit some highlights, you'd come along here. This might be in, get some highlights along in there. You get something here. This would get some light, and we get some light along there. So those are ears, all right? The hook, remember that hook shape? The Y, you get the bump in there, and they all kind of meld together. Remember, they come in all different shapes. So my best bet, my best advice is take what you've learned here, but also go and just look at people's ears. And you'll see, you're always gonna find that Y, you're always gonna find a couple of these things that I've just talked about, but they're gonna be stretched, they're gonna be pulled. Some people have earlobes, some people don't. There's a whole mixture. So check those out, and why don't we go ahead and move on to the next body part.